It's no secret the Mariners offense wasn't all that good in 2023. One of the biggest letdowns of the season. This is going to be the top 5 hitters for the Seattle Mariners, the top 5 position players, in my opinion. And we're not going to include Teoscar Hernandez because he's not going to be with the team. We're not going to include Tom Murphy because he's not going to be with the team. So at the plate, the 5 best position players, this is a tough one. This really is, because I think the top 4 are pretty obvious. But number 5 for me is going to be Ty France, maybe, or Eugenio Suarez. I'll let you decide number 5. Let's look at their stats. So Gino had a slash line of 232, 323, 391 with a 102 WRC+. He struck out 30.8% of the time with a 10.1% walk rate. He did hit 22 home runs as well. Ty France's slash line was 250, 337, 366 with a 104 WRC+. He struck out 17.6% of the time and walked 6.5% of the time with 12 home runs and 79 RBI. Ty France was worth 0.5 WAR, whereas Eugenio Suarez is worth 3.2, but a lot of that came from his defensive value, so it's really hard to look at these two and figure out which one is the 5th best. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought about going Josh Rojas here because I didn't know who to say. Obviously, you know, we know who's gonna be kind of the top 4 for the Mariners. I feel like it's kind of obvious. Again, Teoscar Hernandez is not an option. Tom Murphy's not an option for me in this scenario, so I think I'm gonna go with Ty France. He didn't strike out as much, although he didn't walk as much either. Better batting average, worth 104 WRC+ instead of a 102. You guys tell me in the comments down below who is your number 5 out of this list, because this one was very, very difficult for me. But number 4 has to be Jarred Kelenic. He put together a pretty good season, albeit very hit or miss, and of course missing some time as well. He carried the team in the month of April. I think we're starting to see exactly what we wanted to see out of Kelenic in 2023. Is he going to be an everyday guy in 2024? I'm not sure, but I would like to see what else Kelenic can bring to the table. Can he get some of that power back? Basically what I'm saying is Jarred Kelenic being number 4 is not a good thing necessarily. It would either be A, he took a step forward, or B, the Mariners offense was bad, and I think it's a little bit of both. Let's take a look at JK's numbers. In 2023, JK ran a 253, 327, 419 slash line with a 108 WRC+. He hit 11 home runs with 44 runs and 49 RBI. He walked 9.9% of the time, and he struck out 31.7% of the time, which is pretty damn high. He did run a pretty high BABIP, however. He was relatively decent out there on the field, but he was hitting the ball so hard it was getting past a lot of these infielders. Again, JK is going to be 24 in 2024, so there's still plenty of time for him to come into his own. But looking at him, he put together a 1.3 WAR season, and again, a lot of that is carried by his offensive output in the month of, what was it, April or May or whatever it was. I'm not saying by any means that Jarred Kelenic was great in 2023. I'm saying that he was serviceable, and when you look at this lineup, he's got to be number 4 on your list. We're going to take a big jump here from number 4 to number 3, because the 3rd best hitter, in my opinion, was catcher Cal Raleigh. Cal put together a huge season behind the plate, both offensively and defensively. He was struggling at the beginning of the year defensively, but once he got towards the end of the season, he was throwing out runners left and right. Huge snub on the Gold Glove list. I think Cal is easily one of the best offensive catchers in all of baseball. I think he led the MLB in home runs from the catching position. So yeah, I mean, how do you look at Cal Raleigh, a switch hitting catcher who is really, really good with this pitching staff, and say, he's not at least the 3rd best hitter on your team? He could start pretty much anywhere in the MLB behind the plate. Let's take a look at Cal Raleigh's numbers now. Cal took a step forward in pretty much every aspect, in my opinion. He hit 232, 306, 456 with a 111 WRC+. He was good for nearly 5 WAR at 4.7. He struck out 27.8% of the time and walked 9.5% of the time. Cal hit 30 home runs, a franchise record, breaking his own franchise record when he hit 27 with 78 runs and 75 RBI. Cal also caught every damn day. Cal was in 145 games. I really hope we don't see him that often next year, because we're going to wear him down so quick. I hope we see Cal in like 125 games maybe at this point, and a lot of DH days out of Cal Raleigh. He's 26 going on 27 in 2024. I think Cal Raleigh is a guy that you can look at as a future leader of this team, and easily one of the best hitters on the Seattle Mariners without a doubt. Again, without Tom Murphy coming back, Cal Raleigh is all that more important. A steadying force behind the plate. Obviously, he had the big comments at the end of the season. Not only is he a vocal leader for this team now, but he is one of the best offensive catchers in all of baseball. A guy that you can slot in at 3rd or 4th in your lineup. I think Cal has a chance to continue to progress, and we could see him hitting 250 maybe. And I mean, with the kind of lefty power he has, I would not be shocked to see Cal run into 35, 40 home runs one year if he continues this sort of offensive production. And again, he knows his pitching staff well. He's a great catcher behind the plate. And I think overall, Cal Raleigh is a sneaky, most valuable player on this team. Unfortunately, he is going to get beat out by the next two guys, and this is where it's going to get interesting. Who's number one, JP Crawford or Julio Rodriguez? Well, number two for me is going to be Julio Rodriguez. I know, the young superstar as number two, but I will have JP Crawford at number one. Let's take a look at Julio's offensive numbers this year, where he set plenty of records on his own. In 2023, Julio hit 275, 333, 485 with a 126 WRC. Plus, he had a 5.9 WAR. We're just going to call it a 6 WAR season. He struck out 24.5% of the time, which was down from his last year at 25.9. He did walk 6.6% of the time, which was also down from his 7.1 in 2022. But Julio hit 32 home runs with 102 runs and 103 RBI. He also stole 37 bases at just 22 years old. Along with playing Gold Glove defense out there in center field, Julio Rodriguez, in my opinion, could be an MVP this year if it weren't for guys like Shohei Ohtani or, I don't know, Jose Ramirez or Corey Seager for that matter. I think that Julio is going to be right up there with those guys over the next few years. And again, having him at the top of your lineup, whether it be one or two, he is such a volatile force at the top of that lineup that opposing pitchers have a really hard time starting out games. Julio is the superstar. He won't be 23 until the end of December. So basically the end of this year, Julio will turn 23 years old. What were you guys doing at 23? If you're 23 by now, I think I was, what was I doing? I was working in a grocery store and sitting at home doing nothing. 23, baby. He is a multimillionaire at 23 and one of the best offensive players on the Seattle Mariners, but one guy I think beats him out, and that has got to be JP Crawford. The amount of work that JP put in the offseason and then how well he produced in 2023, mwah, chef's kiss. JP was so damn good in 2023, put the C on his chest for the captain. I don't know where the Mariners would be without JP Crawford's offensive output this year. Was it a career year for him, or is this what we're going to see moving forward? Obviously, we'll just have to wait and see, but let's take a look at what his numbers were in 2023, and will he build upon them? John the P stands for Power Crawford had a 266, 380, 438 slash line with a 134 WRC plus, which is one of the best in the American League, if not all of baseball for shortstops. He put together a 5 WAR season at 4.9. He also walked 14.7% of the time and struck out 19.6. We're not going to call it 20. He had a 314 batting average on balls in play. He was hitting the ball a lot harder this year. He also hit 19 home runs, easily a career high. First time he had eclipsed 10, and he almost eclipsed 20. With 94 runs, 65 RBI, JP also did steal 2 bases. He's not a great base stealer. He's 28 going on 29 next year. JP Crawford is the epitome of what you want for the Seattle Mariners. The fact that JP went out there and did what he did in 2023 is perfect, because we saw the market for shortstops last year and we were all kind of mad that JP was still the starting shortstop, but I think he kind of quelled all those problems. He was almost as good as Corey Seager, and Corey Seager has a really good case to win MVP. I think JP in his own right could be like top 10, top 15 in MVP this year. But with that being said, JP Crawford, in my opinion, is the obvious number one on this team, because where would you be without JP Crawford's output? Especially in terms of what we projected out of him compared to what we got, JP is that guy at shortstop. Now, Joe went over the best pitchers on the Mariners, the 5 best pitchers. We have that video on the screen now. I want you guys to check that one out. Appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.